Live.
Nice. Hello, and welcome back to another weekly installment of Bards of New York. You may be thinking to yourselves, this looks a little different, but also familiar. And that's because we're back on our old-ish with a little distanced Zoom session at the moment, given that we are in different locales.
Oh shit! I think I'm the DM right now.
Yeah.
I told you.
I love it.
Well,
I told you I was gonna have to
this
switch
is-
these around.
It's been a minute.
I'm playing Terra today, so get ready for some serious life-changing decisions.
Switched around. Hold on.
Well, at the very least,
but conveniently, Drew's in the right spot.
seems like a big pharma conspiracy to me.
I thought you said big farmer.
Sure. Also, Pepperidge Farm does remember. So,
Have you seen Big Farm?
rough these days. So we're just gonna fix things on the fly again. It's been a long time since we did D&D this way, like a really long time. So just be patient with us as we go along. We'll be back on our old ways in no time. Thank you for joining us today. Not a whole... Well, actually, before I get on with the more standard announcements, Hannah, I feel like you have something fun to share.
I do. I am now a permanent player over with our friends at Legends of Alos. So I will be there on Sundays from 3 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, come check us out over there. They're really, really lovely. I'm really excited. And yeah, they're just great people. And I can't wait to see y'all over there. That's a threat.
That's a threat and a promise all at
And
once.
a promise.
Yeah, that's like official, proper, top tier friend of the show stuff.
Yep.
Right there. Like
Friend
real,
of the show. Legend of
real
Alos.
deal friend of the show. Not that Nick Cage isn't also a friend of the show. It's just these are different levels, right? Fabulous. Good stuff. Another crack group of storytellers over there. Cracking group of storytellers. On to just more standard stuff. Definitely, if you haven't yet, jump on our Discord. It's the place to be. Lots of fun. Again, the tavern channel continues to pop off as always. Lots of fun drinks coming through there. But it's just the best place to stay abreast of all things bards, and it's another one, a nice community hub. I know a lot of our other friend of the shows are in there, and a little bit of banter going back and forth. And especially as we've been doing some more of this text-based focused stuff that I'm sure we'll share bits and pieces of gradually as it becomes more relevant to what's going on stream. It's just a great medium for any of that. So jump on there. Check us out on Instagram as well. That's where a lot of our traction has been coming from initially. Don't think I have anything else to announce.
I'll announce. I don't know much about it, but apparently I've been notified that Spotify is now doing video podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
So more to come in that. But as a segue, watch us on the podcast if you'd like, and listen, and tell other people.
Give us a rate.
Oh yeah, please rate us.
That's how we get some
Yeah.
a nice little boost on there. Looks like, Drew, you've done sterling work and we're all in our proper spots on the stream. So, to prep us for jumping right back into the world of Regulus Prime, 10,000 years on from our original start point, time for a tasty little tarot. And since I've got them here and I am in a distinctly different place than the rest of you, I will pull, but you guys tell me when to stop shuffling here. Just gonna, give it a little moment.
Now.
Perfect. And that gives us, the Hermit. It's like the third card with a picture of Solus on it. There's no favoritism in this house, but the Hermit, it's a classic symbol, like an ascetic, a single-minded dedication to a cause, perhaps at the expense of your worldly connections. Dedication, but at what cost? Drive, but solitude. The lonely work. Something to think about. We'll see. Enlightenment is also something that's often linked to this card, the pursuit of knowledge above all other things. Very interesting stuff. So may the Hermit guide you as we return to the charred fields immediately outside of the city walls of Calanthus. Last session found the group of you known as Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I'll see if I can find the correct Old English pronunciation for those, because that's going to be the best way to go about that.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Have you seen the videos of the guys who do this is what Shakespearean monologues would sound like in Shakespearean times? And it's just the shittiest stuff ever. Yeah, precisely. I'll figure out what the appropriately pretentious way to pronounce these is, and I'll refer to you exclusively as that. Case in point, you woke up in your swanky coalition high-rise apartment, had a little breakfast, had a little coffee, met with your handler before heading into the market to make some appearances, chat with some friendly shopkeepers, before, in theory, meeting with the some coalition, basically bigwigs, some of your previous colleagues down by the docks to just sort of have a briefing on what had happened lately and what was going to come next. But your business was interrupted when there was a rumbling, a sort of flash of fire outside of the walls, which you all immediately rushed over towards and found this strange, dark iron construct with this sort of layered lantern for a head and this huge sword, seemingly trying to get into the city. And as soon as you all arrived, its attention immediately focused on the three of you, and you teed off with it. It was a bit of a hair-raising fight, with Ignis taking the brunt of it as Ignis got there first. But after some serious combat, you dispatched it as its ashes sort of faded away and flew off into the air, leaving the three of you in the scorched field. Am I missing anything there? Okay. So that's where we'll pick up. I believe, Ignis, you were just lying down in the grass there, having taken the brunt of that. And that's where we'll pick up. The three of you there with literally still some of the embers of the grass smoldering with some smoke sort of wending up into the air. You can hear the sounds of various guards people on the walls sort of shouting at each other, holstering their equipment, scanning the horizon, and the sort of clanking sound ching, 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 of the the portcullis being raised back up into the walls as the city gate slowly opens. So with the three of you in this field, what are you doing?
Ignis, are you alive? Ignis?
That depends.
On what?
I don't know. I can't think straight, but I think I'm alive.
Angelo, how many times have we talked about your aiming?
To be quite honest, I would say almost the actual fire felt better than whatever that was.
I also stabbed you. I'm sorry.
When?
I did a full baseball bat swing with my sword through you.
Oh yeah. I think I need help. I'm kind of blacking out.
My vision's really blurry. Well, it's funny you mention that, because as you're just sort of conversing, again, some bodily fluids of yours, Ignis, leaking into the ground, given the gravity of your wounds, as the final chunk of the portcullis sort of landing in its spot at the top of the gate, you can hear the sound of wheels clattering against cobblestone and horses' hooves as this chariot pulled by two fairly sizable horses in full coalition copper and sapphire regalia, pulling this beautiful Art Deco sort of long open air chariot, wheels out of the front gate and sort of steers into the field before making a sharp right turn and coming to a halt as the driver pulls up on those reins. As the chariot itself contains 4 individuals that rush out of the chariot and dash towards you. There are 2 Knights of the Coalition, fully armored, heavy armor, helmets on, and 2 of these figures cloaked in almost like toga-esque robes, leaving one shoulder open for a little chainmail, while the rest of the robe is like inlaid with copper itself. And these are Coalition clerics. These 2, they're sort of priests and or adjudicators of the Coalition. And they rush out of the chariot and sort of dash over to you. The knights getting there first. We came as quickly as we could. Are you in need of assistance? Is the threat still present?
I hit myself with a 2nd level cure wound.
Just
Yeah.
letting some of those wounds stitch together. What do you need?
I've got a hole in my thigh. I'd love there to not be a hole there anymore, please.
One of the clerics comes over to you. He sort of like gets down on one-ish knee, sort of in a squat, and just lays these gloved hands that are sort of inlaid with a series of symbols. It looks like the divine focus is in the palm of the hand there. Almost like, in Indiana Jones 1, where he holds the amulet. Mm-hmm. And it burns the thing into the hand. It's like an imprint of that sort of a talisman in the glove. It just presses their hands on your thigh and pumps just a regular level 3 cure wounds, which funnily enough I don't actually have known off the top of my head how many dice that
cure wounds.
Cure wounds. The hole is stitched up.
The hole is stitched up.
3
so it's going to be a
3 fills my hole.
I don't know why I say these things anymore.
Okay.
So that's going to be... Oh, they rolled terribly. It's going to be 13 points of health back for you, along with that particular wound being sort of sealed and scarring over a little bit. The other cleric, again, rushing off of the chariot. Do you need anything? Is there anything else I can provide for you?
We need to talk to the people in charge to find out what this is about.
Of course.
We're fine. Right. We're all walking. We're all alive. We'll be fine. We'll heal our bruises. We need the coalition right away.
Indeed. The recusants were already stationed at the docks. We can take you there now if you would like.
Yes, please. Let's go.
Indeed.
Before you go, listen to me very carefully. I need a brand new 12-year scotch. I need 50 gold. And that's it.
Are you saying this? Are you saying this to the driver, the cleric, or the knights?
To anyone who will listen.
To the group. These are my demands. Can you roll me a persuasion check?
You're darn tootin', I can't.
Is Angelo, are you still flying in the sky?
No, I landed.
I think you'd landed during the fight, right? You sort of like did a dive bomb.
I landed when I stabbed Ignis.
Yeah, skewered the pair.
Yeah.
That's a 10.
One of the knights, who's mostly the 2 knights that mostly focus on scanning the horizon, sort of leans over their shoulder. We'll get that to you if we can. For now, we have other priorities. Understood? You're muted.
Okay.
Great.
Great. We're adjusting back to this virtual real well, guys.
Great.
I just don't want to sniffle all the time.
You tell me about it. So, with that demand being heard, the knights, again, they stay off of the chariot. They're mostly like examining some of the scars in the earth, some of the debris from the battle, and clearly waiting on some other arrival as the two clerics help you up onto the chariot, the wagon of the chariot, and lean over to the driver. To the docks! Quickly! And the chariot pulls away with a, yeah! You know, these horses immediately rear up, pull around, and back into the city, almost retracing the route that you'd come from. And as you guys are galloping or trotting, cantering, not quite a gallop, basically, is what I'm going for here, moving fairly quickly through the city here, you can see the tone has shifted a little bit. It's not like everyone's in full panic apocalypse mode, but even as you go through the market, it's a little more sparsely populated than it was before, and any people that you do see are mostly sort of like murmuring to each other, looking westward, eastward, towards the walls. There seems to be a general sense of confusion, and as soon as you guys pass by in this chariot in the state of wounds that you're in, presuming you're not like hunkered down hiding in the chariot, eyes track you through the city. But despite the intensity,
Sunglasses on.
just like, you know, blood trickling from mouth, bandages being wrapped around other wounds, just, you know, too cool for school. Yeah, it's a little jarring, the juxtaposition of the scene here. The sun is clear as day out in the sky is blue and free of clouds. The air is warm. Just a lovely day by any other accounts. But the air is just charged a little bit. I think there is a sense as you pass through the city here of like, what more could there possibly be? Right? But the further away from the walls you go, as you descend through the sort of roadways and underneath the elevated tracks that form the monorail system throughout Calanthus, the further away from the walls you go, the less and less that air of apprehension is present. The less and less the rumblings of the battle were felt or even seen at all. So the air is easier as you go. It doesn't take too long, probably about 10 or so minutes to pass through the city. But with the presence of these clerics on the chariot with you, I will allow you to take the benefits of a short rest. As basically through these 10 minutes, since the clerics are not driving the chariot at all, they're basically sitting with you, attending to you, catering to your needs. And instead of like out here rolling all these healing spells or going through, you know, individual dice rolls, you can just take the benefits of a long rest, or a short rest rather. And it's at the end of this journey, as you sort of come down the final slope of cobbled roadway. What is that?
That's my dice roller. I apologize. I'm streaming my sound.
Share the sound.
Oops.
Okay. It's just scared the hell out of me.
Someone's coming in to your apartment.
What the hell? Yeah, so you come down this final slope of cobbled road as the city sort of opens up to the flatter part of terrain at sea level, as the brilliance of the shining sort of sapphire spire of the sapphire citadel across the water sort of gleams in the sunlight. And the way these docks are set up, as you come down through the probably the main road this chariot has come through, there are a bunch of other smaller roads that lead from the sloping cliffside part of Calanthus to the docks. It's a long stretch of horizontal metalwork and woodwork that basically are segmented in three portions. There is the like the public docks all the way down to the south side of the docks. It's the more cramped, slightly more unkempt part of the waterfront. It's where you've got a bunch of boats moored, very densely packed. Lots of little fishmongers setting up there, little stalls and things. A lot of people moving back and forth, both commercial and personal usage of these boats. Then you've got the trading sector immediately next to that, sort of just a little bit further south in the middle of the docks. Fairly officially run. It's well polished, well kept. Not that many places to moor, given that the boats that dock there are fairly large. These are like, the larger trading vessels meant to haul cargo up and down the mortal states. Not a ton of boats docked in the trading sector now, but the boats that are there, again, quite large, quite expensive vessels. But then as you're coming down the main street onto the most northern sector of the docks, the largest sector of the docks, but also the most private, this is the Coalition dockside, right? This is where you've got the official vessels of the Coalition docking. It's where any of the delegates can dock their boats. It's where any of the military vessels can dock, way at the most northern end. There are a couple warships docked in there now, along with the shipyard is all the way up there as well. And that's a huge sprawling piece of mass or landmass there that almost isn't counted as dockland, right? Because it's more about construction. But here you've got a bunch of these almost little ports meant for varying degrees of Coalition vessels. And right in the center, you have this ramp sloping down to the actual beachfront. This soft sort of yellow sand intermingled with this darker, almost gravel-like gray sand that sort of stretches along the entirety of the waterfront here, all the way along the docks. But this portion of the Coalition beachfront is kept very, very clear because it's here where you have the long copper gangway leading up to the Sapphire Citadel. And it functions almost like a modern day bridge that cars can pass over, but gets opened up when boats pass through. And that's both for sort of traversing the waters here and also to bar access to the Sapphire Citadel. And as you come down onto the docks into the Coalition dockfront, you have the copper gangplank is fully raised and detached. But stationed just at the edge of the ramp leading from the Coalition docks to the beach is this open air tent set up with the sort of the beautiful like royal blue with copper trim tarp laid over the top, some banners with the Coalition's seal on them, sort of resting on either side of the front entrance to this open air tent. And you know what I mean by sort of it doesn't have like walls that go all the way down to the end. It's just this basically canvas roof held up by these copper pillars. And as the chariot comes to a halt at the top of the ramp here, you can see into that tent. There are a number of Coalition knights stationed around the inside, and there's a big wooden table that's been placed on the sand in the middle of it, behind which you can see a number of what you would recognize as knight recusants standing. And these are dressed in the same like beautiful gilded copper plate as the regular Coalition knights. The plates are all just like lighter and slimmer and sharper, meant to protect without inhibiting movement, as that's what these agents need to operate with. So you can see a bunch of them sort of stationed at the table. The lead one in the center, who's got their hands on the table looking over some documents, tilts their head up and sees you arrive on the chariot, whispers or gestures, speaks to a couple of their others around you as they dash out of the tent. And you recognize them as somebody you've worked with, you Ignis more than others, as the head of the Knight Recusants, Kvora. Knight Recusant Kvora, who you've specifically has trained under, but worked with all of you on the raid at the cradle. So she comes out from the tent. Are you hurt? Are you well?
Yes.
Prepare some healing poultices. Get them ready now. Please, come. She beckons to you before she heads back into the tent.
Terra strides up very, like semi-angry at this situation that she thought was handled already.
Absolutely. Are the pair of you following, or are you waiting for another impetus?
Follow.
I follow Terra.
Okay. So, led by you, Terra, head down almost in a triangle down this ramp and across the soft sand of the beach, that cool sea breeze rolling in. Sound of distant chimes coming off of the wind, sort of brushing against the crystalline sides of the sapphire citadel. As soon as you step in under the auspices of this tent, you can the midday heat sort of immediately wends away, as there's some enchantment lingering on this structure that sort of mediates the environment. Smell of like sandalwood and incense coming from a couple of the little tapers burning on the sides of the table here. As Kavora loops back around the table and takes a seat on the little wooden stool that she's got placed there. A couple of the other night recusants are sort of opening some kit, getting a piece of poultice out, little healing potions and whatnot. Kavora sits there, looks to you, Terra. You seem displeased. I can understand that much. What happened?
We were at the market for opening day, and everything was fine, and then all of a sudden we see a futurist mech trying to knock down the gate.
You sure it was futurist?
It seemed futurist to me, and I look to Ignis and Angelo to back me up.
Seemed pretty futurist.
Unless you have another answer.
We did not see it. We have some knights out there now trying to scope out what is left, but as far as any details, the account is left to you. So if you say it's futurist, then that is the assumption we will go on.
It was using the similar kind of small thingies. You know what I mean. You know what I mean?
Do. That reminds me. She beckons to one of her recusants, who comes over with this device. It looks sort of like a divining rod, right? This single piece of brass or copper metal that has been shaped with a handle up into this bident here, encrusted with two sort of dull green gemstones at the top with some runic enchantment work around the edge. She takes it from the fellow there. I had meant to broach this subject under different circumstances as merely a theorem, but this morning's activities have perhaps made this a slight bit more urgent. Terra, might I ask to examine your scar tissue, to experiment with a hypothesis here?
Yes. And she presents her arm.
Kavora holds out this divining rod and begins sort of running it over any area of your arm where that scar, that sort of almost steam burn like scar tissue is. The Inquisitors have come up with something of a hypothesis about the nature of this plague. And in previous testing, it had revealed some results. She continues to sort of gesture this over you, that seemed unlikely and unfortunate. And I myself was not choosing not to believe them, but mid-sentence, as that she's been waving this thing over you, the divining rod begins to vibrate and hum as the two dull green gems light a bit, sort of glow. She sort of presses the gems just gently down onto your skin as the gems glow a little more. And so too does your scar. Little sort of twinkling green lights sort of flicker almost like fireflies in particular parts of the scar tissue. Okay. This lines up. With a quick flick of her wrist with this divining rod, those green gemstones almost draw out the beads of light on your arm and they get flicked up almost into like an aurora, like a line of sort of fading green light in the air that sort of trickles up and wends through the air to the northeast rather. And it stays there, tracing its path until it wends out of sight, before eventually, as she places the divining rod down, and it sort of deactivates, the light disappears.
The fuck was that?
Confirmation. Inform the High Inquisitor that they were right, and we need more of these.
Did you just locate them?
Not exactly. But the thought is that there are still traces of the... What did I miss?
The music synced up and it was like an Inception boom.
It was so dramatic.
You went.
Confirmation.
Great. There are traces of whatever carried this illness in all of you. And they are still, whatever these traces are, still active. Not active enough to cause a flare-up of the plague, it seems, but active enough to be traced. And if you're telling me that this construct was functioning with a similar conglomerate of these small constructed particulates, then perhaps the source of these things, this trail that we're seeing continuously, leads to the same spot. I am reluctant to place a burden on your shoulders yet again. But the truth of the matter is, none of us are as experienced with these dealings as you are.
Understood.
So before we move any further, I would like to ask for a favor on behalf of the Coalition. To prevent any further incursions from this force that refuses to be put down, we would ask that you take a series of these divining prototypes and follow the trail where it leads. We will provide you with any support that you would need. You could take whatever time it would require to follow this to its conclusion. But if you would follow the path laid out for you, find whatever is continuing to provide this signal for these mites and disable it, we'd be perhaps one step closer to figuring out how to stop this. As much as I wanted to believe that we had stopped it, I ask a brief question of you, table talking it.
Okay.
Would the three of you have told any members of the Coalition, whether it was Recusant Kvora, the Inquisitor, anyone, your handler, would you have told them that what you noticed about Vindictus and their demise?
I think we would have said we don't think this is the end of Vindictus, that what happened was very Lich-like, but in a more mechanical way.
Okay.
Yeah, I see no reason to hide it.
Okay.
Unless there was totally a reason to hide it, and now we're fucked.
No.
In which case we didn't say anything.
No, I think it's absolutely up to you. Again, the paths you guys have been taking, you seem to have been fairly forthcoming with the Coalition, and they've been fairly forthcoming with you. especially Night Wreckers in Kavora. Given what you've told me about their previous leader and their nebulous state of being, I had wanted to believe that perhaps they would be out of commission for longer, but now I'm not so sure. It's unfortunate. I had wanted to meet with you today to discuss these findings on more docile terms.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any sense of what this construct wanted this morning?
To be fair, no. It seemed to just want, like, to fight.
To destroy.
Like, I would say it was after us, but I think that might have just been because we were the ones that were there.
Mm-hmm. It was attacking the wall itself, not the people. Is there anything having to do with wards in the city?
What? I mean, the walls are warded themselves, but nothing out of the ordinary. Some simple spellcraft.
It also was able to see through my invisibility. That's I kind of forget. Is that something that we've had to deal with these things in the past?
There was nothing like that to that degree in the Cradle. As far as your dealings with Vindictus themselves, that's only something you can say. That seems like a considerable threat. If it could see through obscurity like that, magical obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, judging by just its general demeanor, it seemed simply set to destroy and do it quickly.
That is worrying. Most worrying. And do you think the deed is final? It is destroyed, is it not?
I think so. I don't think it's a situation where it will come back. More might come.
In which case, I think we just don't open the door.
Perhaps. My only worry would be if it is after whatever something in the city, and you leave and more arrive, we could be at considerable risk.
Is there anything in the Sapphire Citadel that would attract what the Futurists are after? Or anyone?
Other than the governing body of the entire mortal states, I'm unsure.
There's no technology or anything?
Nothing that would be particular to them.
Not that I am particularly willing to disclose.
Iggity insight.
Roll me an insight check. It's like, you know those keyboards? Like, dictionary, insight.
27.
27? I mean, how can I say this other than saying there is a reticent nature about Kavora there. Not unusual to you. I think, Ignis, you've studied under her for some time. Definitely plays every hand she ever deals close to the chest. And this is no exception. No, nothing that I am particularly willing to disclose, and nothing that I would hope anyone outside of these walls would be, outside of the walls of the Citadel itself, would be aware of either.
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you there. Willing to disclose, you're asking us to leave and go on this mission without all the information. If you think any information is pertinent, you know us. We have never lied to you. We've never withheld information from you. So why would you do the same for us?
Simply because I am... Walk with me.
Above her pay grade?
She just stands up and walks out the north side of the tent and starts like strolling, hands behind the back, up the beach. You follow?
Yep, follow.
Okay. She's just walking for a moment, strolling. sort of looking down at the sand, taking brief looks westward to the horizon. There is nothing that I would have thought particularly of interest to these futurists, given their documentation and how they approached assaulting our way of life. Nothing within the Sapphire Citadel that would have been immediately pertinent to accelerating their cause. Nor is there anything that I consider particularly outlandish or dangerous to the people, save for the fact that the mechanisms that operate the entirety of the Coalition rail and most widespread Coalition technology, the hub of their power source stems from matrices built into the sublayers of the Citadel. I am only unwilling to disclose their precise locale because I am unwilling to entertain the idea that should you all be detained and otherwise used to extract information out of, that would be something they could wrench from you.
Does make sense, though.
Perhaps.
Taking that down would cripple the entire country.
Then why not seek it earlier? Why all this pretense with a sickness?
Plans change.
Perhaps.
I mean, we did thwart the sickness as much as we could, so maybe this is plan B.
Or, I mean, isn't their whole thing is to find out what makes people tick, but also to make a better version of existence? And so by the disease weeding out the weak ones, you already have the stronger ones left.
Angelo, do you have anything to say? Maybe you're sorry for burning and cutting me, or you can comment on this. That's fine too.
I said I was sorry.
Seems fairly charged. They weren't using any sort of mind-altering devices, were they?
Huh? I don't know. Did you experience any of that? I didn't exactly experience that.
I made some mistakes. And I have made similar mistakes before, and I sometimes, I get a little bit of tunnel vision. So I'm really sorry, and I'll try to keep my eyes open in the future. Ignis.
Thank you.
Ross sort of stops walking. This seems like a remarkably personal discussion that I am
It's
not...
fine. We're all fine. We're all alive. We have all our limbs. Barely.
I'm a little high off of whatever pain medication the clerics gave us in the cart, so yeah.
Understandable.
I wasn't hurting anyway, so I'm fine.
Get fucked.
Again, this is something that I don't feel I need to be present for. This kind of
I want to go on this. I want to do this because this is important to me.
Good.
I look at Ignis. Are you coming? Angelo?
Oh, like I'm gonna suddenly say no.
I mean, where you guys go, I go.
Okay. So,
Okay,
we can take these and follow the path.
indeed.
Is there anything else you have not told us? Or do we need to go to one of your higher-ups to know more information?
Given the nature of my position, there are few higher up than myself that would have anything useful to say to you. only pencil pushers and policy makers to get in your way and try and push their own agenda upon you. I have no interest in bogging you down with that.
I just think that we need some more clout, you know? We gotta be looped in on these things.
I understand.
If we're gonna be doing all the heavy lifting.
I can provide you with regular messenger ravens out to your position. As we learn things, we can send them your way. And upon your return, should this be successful, I am willing to stake my position on making you not just members of the coalition as you already are, but having you sit in on delegation meetings themselves. Because these people, these delegates, they don't see things the way you do, the way the recusants do, the way the inquisitors do even. They don't have the same field experience that we are able to glean information from.
Is it possible to just like get it in writing? Or do we have to be there?
No, I can get that.
Yeah, like just like a general notes, and then I
I
mean, you
will
guys
go
can do
if
what
you don't
want.
want to go.
I think we should go.
My point is, regardless of your desire to, provided successful completion of this task, you will have free access to the delegation, and that is not something that many people even of my status can attend. Not that I necessarily would want to, but it's the best that I can do. As far as not telling you things, there is nothing that I am choosing to hide from you. Not at this point. Why would I? It does not benefit me.
Okay.
More to the point, I can get you, certainly, each a divining beacon for use. I'm not sure. You will need to be careful with them, as they are still in their prototype phase. They may have hitches along the way that we are not yet party to as you use them in the field. But beyond that, is there anything else you require from me and from my department?
I can't think of anything.
Fair enough. By the end of the afternoon, I will have something of a traveling care package deposited at your lodgings, including these divining beacons, rations, some equipment. And once that's there, you may take it as you see fit and venture forth on your own time. Again, I impose no strict schedule towards you. You are free agents of the Coalition. But I would imagine the more succinctly and swiftly we can deal with this, the better it will be for everyone, and specifically to the three of you.
Agreed.
Good. Good. She looks sort of out to the citadel, eyes glazing over a bit. The one thing I would ask is, as much as you can afford, perhaps try discretion amongst the commoners and the citizens of the mortal states. Their emotional constitution is perhaps not what it once was. And I fear if these troubles persist, and persist publicly, we may find ourselves in yet another state of unrest.
We'll be discreet.
I trust you there. Now, I will make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. I'll get the requisitions sent to you and otherwise meet with Inquisitor Karator to see if we can finalize our designs here. If we get anything updated, we'll send it your way on the road. That is all I have for you at this moment.
Okay, well, as soon as you can get us that stuff, let us know, because I don't like waiting.
If you wish to leave now, I can hand and don't require any other requisitions. I can get you the divining rods and be on your way. But the requisition in full will be at your lodgings within the hour.
Great.
I'll get right to it then. She moves away briefly, sort of hastily back towards the tent before stopping, turning around. Thank you. I'm not sure how often you're told that. But thank you. She wheels around, beelines it back to the tent, leaving the three of you alone on this quiet stretch of private Coalition beach.
She's so serious.
I'm emotional. I'm just angry. I thought we had more time than... If Vindictus is back already, and we have no idea how to solve this problem other than how we solved it before. Being upset's not going to solve anything, though.
I strip down to my skivvy and I go for a dip in the ocean.
Yeah, you jump in. The water is cold, very, very cold. In that way that, you know, the Atlantic Ocean just doesn't like to get warm ever. It's the same thing here. This the ocean is just like briny and bracing. So the wounds that are still open briefly flare and sting, but then dull. That pain becomes like a dull throb as the wounds sort of are interlaced with that sea salt. And it's that kind of awakening chill as you dunk in there. Water is clear, crisp.
After a second, Terra lets out a deep sigh and says, "You're right," and also does the same thing. Strips down, gets in the water to cool off.
Yeah, just to decompress. Again,
Yep.
There's that shock, that sting, and then the body quickly adjusts to the water. Angelo, you doing anything particular in this moment?
Angelo's wondering why we're all getting naked and getting in the water.
Angelo, are you afraid to get your wings wet? Are you too scared? Come on, fire guy. I think you need to cool off.
Is it cold?
Yes. I'm also okay though. I can get out. Just wanted to take a dip.
I think I'm okay.
Pair of you in the water. What's your passive perception?
14.
20.
In fair. Yeah, the pair of you can feel there is like a gentle hum, like a toneless vibration in the water. Like a gentle buzz, seemingly stemming from the citadel.
It's magic.
But other than that, you know, it's just brisk seawater.
All right. Let's go put our clothes back on. No more cinnamon buns for a little bit. And let's go get our shit together to get back to work.
Wait. We can take cinnamon buns with us.
Ye olde traveling Cinnabon.
They
You
won't
have
be
to
the
stop
same.
at the little like cinnamon roll shop, the stall, the cart right outside the city. Ye olde roadside mall.
That's where Ben the Baker has his other family working.
Yeah.
That's
his,
the 13th.
His kid operates the travel station. What are they called? The little like gas station shitty things where you get your like Auntie Anne's and your McDonald's.
Stop.
Yeah. The ye olde rest stop at every major railway station in the Mortal States. And everything is like at least 10 gold more than it should be. So, for the sake of expediency, you have about an hour until the requisitions are deposited at your apartment. Is there anything you particularly, each of you separately as a group, want to do, get, or accomplish here in Galanthus before that hour is up? Because I'm getting the sense that you guys want to like get the requisitions and fucking go, or unless I'm missing that. So anything particular that you're looking for during the hour?
I would leave a note for Inez if she does call on the apartment.
Leave it with Stanith, the doorman.
I'd leave it with Stanith. Dear Stanith. And just tell her I hope to be back soon. This is where I'm going.
Does Stanith know about have you like chatted with Stanith?
Terra got drunk one night and spilled the whole drama to Stanith.
We had a whole night on the town with Stanith.
I definitely you're like, okay, when are you off the clock, mate? Like we'll pay you the extra hours. Just come out, take a break. And he's definitely one of those has one drink, the nose and ears gets red, and he's very, you're all good friends. You're good people. Doing well good for the city. Oh, thank you kindly. So you just had a proper chinwag with him, and I think I love that he is just tacitly aware of the personal details of the heroes of the city. So write this little note for which if you
he has heard some harrowing stories from Ignis.
Oh yeah, I think especially some of those stories of Ignis's life before adventuring with Earth, Wind and Fear. The more troubling of those stories, Stanith chooses to sort of go oh, well, you could just be a good storyteller. Who's to say how much not to have Stanith believing that you're necessarily or were a cold-blooded murderer, right? Stanith chooses to take all that with a grain of salt. So if you at any point write that note, do send it to me.
Okay.
But otherwise, when you give Stanith a little piece of parchment, you going on you leaving?
Yes. Things escalated more quickly than we expected.
Was that what I heard, the rumble up the way?
Yeah, I'd stay away from the city walls until we're back, just in case.
No, don't go that far west, that far east anyway. Stick to the center of the city. Much more to do, much more to see, and nice and insulated, Well, if your dear friend stops by, I'll make sure to pass along this message. I'll keep it, and he puts it inside the double-breasted jacket. He sort of unbuttons and slides it in a little inside pocket. Keep it near and dear.
Thank you, Stanith.
Of course. Will you be gone long?
There's no telling. We're following a trail, and we don't know where it leads.
Is that not always the way? I remember it well. But I'll leave that adventuring to you young ones nowadays. I'll make sure to keep the boiler running and keep your apartment nice and warm. And be safe, please. Don't do anything too hasty or rash. I'd like to see you back here promptly, please.
Thank you. And I walk to the apartment. Is our stuff up there?
Up the lift. In theory, yes. Is there anything else either of you want to particularly do over the hour? Doesn't have to be, just in case. Okay.
No.
So, what sounds like to me is you perhaps head back. You sort of scribble that note to Inez and hand it to Staneth, and then the three of you head back up into the apartment just to take a breather and wait for the stuff to be delivered. And it comes through in the kitchen area, sort of off past the stove area, off to the L-shaped kitchen. It's sort of at the edge of the top part of the L in the corner of the room. In the ceiling, there is this probably like 2 foot by 2 foot pipe, this brass pipe, which serves as like a mail tube. And it's through there that this large canister comes down about an hour later, or about 45 minutes later, while you've been sort of resting in the apartment. Sealed again with copper bindings and the sigil of the Mortal States, the the Coalition, right in the center. That again, it's just clearly the requisitions, right? As you crack the canister open, as I assume, you find the 3 divining beacons. Again, it's literally just a brass divining rod with some enchantment and those gemstones on them. You find a month's worth of field rations, 3 flares, 3 small lanterns, and 3 coils of 50-foot rope.
Great. Will you send me that list and I'll put it in our...
Yes.
You don't have to do it now. You can do it later if you want.
I just want to make sure that I don't misplace that necessarily. Okay. So, onwards and upwards.
Yes.
Okay. You guys head back, basically again, retracing the path from this morning. And by the time you are heading through the city again, up through the market and out to the front gates and the exterior stables, the tone has shifted from that tension earlier, sort of back to normal. Whatever the guards have been doing to quell the rumors spreading has worked, and the bustle of Calanthus is sort of back. The market is filled, the streets are fairly mobile and teeming with people moving back and forth. There's no trace of smoke in the air above the walls now, though the one difference is the presence of Coalition knights and guards throughout the city has doubled since this morning. There are more armored figures walking around the city. Nothing menacing, there's just more of them out and about. And the people again showing you smiles, perhaps like running up to shake your hand every now and then. The guards, however, are giving you sort of solemn nods as you go. And by the time you reach the front gates, the portcullis has been closed again. And from atop the walls, the guards sort of peer down. Who goes? Well, I have to ask. Don't give me that. It's the job. Are you leaving?
We go.
That's all I wanted to know. Open the gates.
Okay.
Clunk, 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 clunk. You're good to go. Best of luck.
Thanks. I swear, fame doesn't get you anything anymore.
Yeah.
We should get his name and badge number.
What jurisdiction are you, mate? Yeah, by the time when you head out this gate to the stables immediately to the right, sort of inset into the wall on the outside, your 3 horses are already prepared, ready, saddled up, ready to go. The stable master, Ariana, she is sort of sitting there on one of the hitches, sort of waiting for you. Do we have names for your horses yet? You don't have to come up with them now, but if you've thought about your horses, they are freely customizable.
Ooh.
As far as I'm concerned.
Chat, if you have names for name ideas, let us know.
Before
Would
you
love to just let chat decide that.
Please. In fact, okay, Hell, in fact, great. Chat, for those of you there,
Don't know if this is a great idea.
Yeah, I don't
it's
know
happened.
either.
It's literally happened. Chat, there are 3 horses. They're up to you to customize. There's one for each party member. They've been with these folks for the better part of a year now. So let's have that happen as it happens. But Ariana's standing there. We off then? Good. Giving you supplies for some feed in each of the horses' packs. Don't know how long you'll be gone. Yeah, nothing more to say really. Be well, be safe. Hope to see you back. Thanks for dealing with that earlier. It was right a bit scary out here.
Mm-hmm. Well, stay safe.
I shall. It's not me that has to worry about going against some bloody robot, do I?
You do if it comes back when we're gone.
If we die. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm hoping doesn't happen. So we're going to say that it's not going to happen, right?
Sure.
Besides, I'd like to keep taking care of your fine horses here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you'll bring them back. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds
great.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, even if I die, I hope my horse comes back. I'll send it back.
You haven't trained the horses well enough to come back here?
I hope they would, but that's sort of on you guys, isn't it?
I don't know. I feel like
yeah.
that's a you thing.
I'm not the one. Get on the horses. Get out of here.
They're your
I'm not
horses.
gonna take.
You're the
They're
stable
not my horses.
master.
They're your horses. You brought them to me.
Why do you want them to come back?
Because I like the horses to not be caught up. I'm not going to go into this. I'm not going to explain why I cherish these animals and work with these animals daily, am I? I've got better things to do. You've got better things to do.
So, you saying that, it makes it feel like that you consider these your horses as well.
I consider every horse I work with my horse. That's the point.
So therefore, you would want them to come back.
I do want. I didn't say that I didn't.
So
I'm just saying that I haven't taken them out far enough to give them that training. You're the ones that have been riding Kingdom Come. You
What?
brought them here. So I would hope that they would consider this your home because you consider.
So I hear you just decided that you didn't want to take them out far enough to train them.
Your 3 horses are lovely horses, but they are not the only horses that I have to take care of. If I took every horse out far enough to take back here on their own, we'd never be working with a stable master again because I'd be spending most of my time in the bloody woods. Is that not a safe assessment?
I'm just giving you a hard time. It was fun.
Right. Well, great. I hope you come back safe and sound.
Oh, thank you. I love the seriousness in your tone there.
Pulling my leg. Get on the bloody horses. Get out of it.
As we ride away, I say under my breath, I might just kill these horses just cause.
Also, I asked the other 2, what was that guy's
Fuck
name
that
again?
guy.
The
Horse's
person
ass.
you're just talking to?
The stable master. What was his
Horse's
name?
ass.
Ariana.
Oh.
Areola.
Yeah, that's
Um,
exactly.
Our horse's name, according to chat. Drew, Precious, and Ophelia.
I'm gonna take Drew.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'd take Ophelia.
I'll take Precious. Great.
So,
Thank you, chat.
Is Precious's full name Precious based on the novel Push by Sapphire?
Yes, it is now.
Great.
That
great,
is
great.
canon. Okay, onward, Precious.
Yeah. Okay. So as you mount Drew, Precious, and Ophelia, you ride. Yeah, it's a great sentence to say. I assume. So each of you have taken a divining beacon. Are you using it now, or are you just riding in the general direction that you saw earlier?
My guess is ride in the general direction a little bit and then take it out. Kind of see, kind of like a compass, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Let's
Absolutely.
even just like ride until like we're ready to camp for the night.
I'm gonna take my
It's
horse
not going to be that close.
to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride until I can't. No more.
I
I didn't even know what you said.
Great. Lil Nas X, friend of the show. Okay, so you basically just ride on the road, I would imagine, the road that leads sort of straight eastward out from the main gate of Calanthus, up the little hillside and to the plains. And you can see a bunch of knights out and about. Because as this eastward road connects to one of the main thoroughfares across the sort of spine of the mortal states, if you will, the sort of the vertical road that stretches across it. There are a lot of knights posted along there at various intervals, just almost doing some scouting. It looks like a couple of them have set up some small camps here and there. Not out in full force, but just out or as like a forward party, right? Probably a dozen or so of them stretched along about every half mile or so, a grouping of them gauging. They will send like a hail your way as you pass them, but none of them are clearly stopping you. You're known fairly well, and if the three of you are out riding at the speed with which you're riding, you're not going to be interrupted, really, especially after the events. But you can see that there's clearly attention being paid to this. Now, as you head out, firstly, the initial beacon that you saw on the shores was venturing northeastwards, generally. Is your plan to go along the road northwards until you get to a certain point and then veer off-road, or just head straight off-roading northeastwards immediately? And that will influence my next question for you.
Take the road as far north as we can until we realize, like, if we go any farther on the road, we will be going in the wrong direction.
Okay, perfect. That is going to be how hard are you pushing these horses? First of all,
Till they can't no more.
I don't even know why I asked. Really?
I need to be drinking something stronger.
Till they can't no more. Yeah, I mean, great. Fucking great. Okay. Yeah. So I'll say you can push them at fairly like top speeds for an hour or so, and this will take you past the boundaries of the state of Calatine, the state that you're in now, into the minor state of Keitel, which is home mostly to the big deal in Keitel is the military fort that operates out of there called Fort Azure. That's like where a lot of Calanthus's military operate, all the coalition military forces will train and congregate, and you'll basically pass by the fort before veering off-road at that point. So that's sort of, I'll take a couple hours, sort of to dusk time. Okay?
Great. At dusk, we'd probably stop and set up camp.
Okay, so perhaps camping sort of outside the fort.
Mm-hmm.
Really, in the auspices of the walls there, or the barricades, unless
Yeah,
you think you'd go into the fort.
We're too good for them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you're the elite troops, you're not the fucking grunts, right? Nothing against the coalition military, but still, this is a strike force we're dealing with.
No, I'm okay with defending them.
Okay, so as you're heading up the road, two things. First of all, your sort of awareness is often interrupted by the fact that it probably only happened once in the trek, about every hour or so, the thundering or thunderous clamor of the coalition railway is going to rocket past you as the massively elevated, almost aqueduct style tracks, these bronze copper tracks crackling with lightning magic along the side of the rails as it passes, is almost directly to the east of the road. So you're on the road as this railway is set up, elevated right next to you, and probably it'll be a few miles shy southwards of Fort Azor. That first train will rocket past you as it leaves the fort and heads further south along its pathway. But you're in the shadow of the rail the whole way through. Secondly, I would have you roll me a perception check, all three of you.
$25.
25,
21.
21.
Natural 20 for a grand total of 30.
Okay. We did well today.
I count every head on the train.
No. What I will say for you is you notice it fairly early, and this might change your tactic. But it's not too long after you leave the eastward road and head to the main thoroughfare that you spot, and it'll be you spotting them first, Ignis, though they become fairly quickly visible to all of you, tracks in the ground. And they are not like animal tracks. These are sizable depresses in the ground with scorch marks around each one. And they seem to have track from the field that you're riding through across and into the sort of the tree line at the edge of the fields that sort of border the eastern part of the state of Calatine.
Do you guys think, should we follow that, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So instead of tracking up to the fort, you're going to follow the tracks instead?
Yeah.
Okay. You keep your eyes honed on these scorched imprints in the earth. With that nat 20, the further you go, the clearer it becomes that these are in the shapes, this sort of almost pointed oval shapes that are quite reminiscent of the armored feet of the construct that you fought earlier in the day. Taking the similarly wide strides that would befit a towering construct such as it was. And you follow them further into these woods. Again, the horses have to move a lot slower, given the density of these trees and the fact that there just isn't really an easy path here. Still can move at like a canter, but not at any great speeds without potentially running risk of injury to you or the horses themselves. But you follow them a fair way through, probably about an hour or so into the woods. No knights going this far. They seem to have maybe been examining a few of them that were closer to the city, these tracks, but they haven't tracked them all the way in because, again, that's venturing quite far for organized military forces. So takes some time trotting through this very, very quiet forest. The only noise really being the sound of the leaves and branches under the horse's hooves sort of crackling and breaking, along with maybe a little bird song. But the further you go, the quieter and quieter and quieter it gets. Until, as dusk begins to fall, the tracks have started thinning out a little bit. They're still present, but the strides are almost way bigger. Excuse me. And with, again, this high perception roll, as things get almost dead silent in the dusk-lit woods, part of the grass in front of you, the underbrush, gleams a little. glints in the fading light in a way that even wet grass wouldn't do. What do you want to do?
Terra's gonna kneel down and put her hands in the grass and see if she can suss anything out by touch.
Sure.
I don't think that's a great idea.
That's our earth
So,
of earth, wind, and fire.
Our sibling relationship right there. Just, I'm gonna touch it. Don't.
So you sling down off of Precious there, and as you're getting down into the grass, literally, Ignis, you say out loud, "I don't think that's a good idea," and you're already like hands deep. Grass feels very, very dry for how fresh it looks. Feels almost like turf. And the earth is very like hard and prickly, especially the bits that glint a little bit.
So?
Weird. Feels like it's maybe dying. I'm not sure. Or it hasn't rained here in a while, but it looks like it has. Let's keep going.
Okay.
I'm just gonna, instead of getting back on Precious, I'm going to take Precious by the reins and kind of walk alongside in between Ignis and Angelo.
Okay. The pair of you are staying on your horses? Sort of following along?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, as you move, Terra, would you roll me an investigation check?
Absolutely. Man, this die doesn't like me. 11.
I don't like you either.
11. Yeah, it's fairly, especially as you're walking on it. The grass doesn't make the sound that you think it would as you step on it. There's sort of like a hollow noise underfoot.
Go
Those of you on the
grass,
horses,
you're drunk.
pair of you on the horses, again, it's sort of harder to hear, but for you, actually stepping on the grass doesn't feel right and doesn't sound right. At this point, the tracks have gone.
I'm gonna like stomp harder on the ground.
Yeah, you get like a proper like whack. It's like thump thump.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it like almost clangs a little bit, like an out of tune bell.
Can I take out my rod of divination and use it?
Yeah, absolutely. You again, it's not like anything crazy. Just roll me a basic intelligence check.
Not anything difficult. Hannah rolled a 4 plus 4, so an 8.
8. Yeah, you've never used these before. You take the thing, you sort of mimic Kfora's movement of it, and the gemstones flicker a little bit on the divining rods, and you feel a little bit of a vibration in the rod itself. Some of those almost firefly lights appearing in your scar tissue, but as you flick it up to sort of create that beacon, it sort of wisps away. The magic doesn't take hold.
What do you think, Ig?
I'm not sure. It's kind of gross here.
Angelo, did you hear that sound? The metal sound? I stomp again. I jump up and then like try to land harder.
You do it like a Mario ground pound.
Yep.
Like, you like jump, stomp, land, and it really, this time all of you can hear it echo beneath you somewhere. There is a metallic, hollow echo.
So I did hear it the first time, but thank you.
The quiet sass. Unbearable.
I don't think this is grass. I think it's fake.
Methinks.
That much
we-
in my intelligent roll tells me that.
Do we think that something's underneath it?
Can I do an Arcana check on the
Just on the grass, on the ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Sort of reach out with your feelings, Luke.
Yes. That is a natural 1.
Seems like grass
Doesn't
to
look
me.
like anything to me.
Yeah. I mean, sounds funky. Honestly, your magical senses feel dampened in this area.
I do not feel the force flowing through me.
I'm going to look around for I don't know. I'm like a lever or a rock that looks weird.
Yeah. Like
No,
you're
we've
in
been in our fair
bookcase.
share of dungeons
Yeah.
by now.
Are there any bookcases?
Yeah.
Yep. Or the rocks that are completely discolored. Or in old school animation where everything is one backdrop, but that one branch is like
Yeah,
particularly bold
Scooby-Doo.
outlined.
I'm like,
yeah.
I wonder which one's gonna do it.
Yeah. Are you all sort of like taking a peek, taking a look?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we search the woods.
Everybody, roll me.
Investigación.
Ooh, that was pretty good.
That was great. Oh,
None of you
man.
guys like me.
Oh! A natural 20!
Wow.
They
Everything
balance the
balanced.
scales.
Perfectly balanced.
I got a 10.
Tengo nueve.
Okay. Yeah. So, Terra, I think you're mostly focused on again, sort of sussing out the grass, like particularly, is there like some part, like a winch, a piece of grass that's like actually a lever somewhere? And the more you feel through the like faker it feels, the stiffer the grass gets, the almost immutable.
Mhm.
I said it and I immediately regretted it. Yeah, it just almost becomes completely static and almost 100% artificial feeling, but nothing that sticks out necessarily. For you, Ignis, well, you said you got a 9?
Yeah. I'm just kind of stabbing the ground.
Yeah, just like with what are you stabbing with your hands, with your knife?
With my short sword.
Yeah, it clinks against the ground everywhere. It doesn't seep into the earth at any point. It just like clanks against something under there. Angelo, with your natural 20, and again with having sort of feeling fuzzy as far as your sort of magical senses are concerned, you start looking around to see if there's any like active like anti-magic field, a dampener, any kind of particular thing or contraption. And while you don't find any of that, it's in one of the trees nearby that something draws your eye near the base of the roots. Something, again, just initially catches your eye as a glint of the light, which again is considerably fading now. It's the dusk is wending into twilight. But something catches your eye, that glint, and as you look to it, it's not just, again, this sort of almost mirage-like glinting that keeps happening while looking at the ground. There's something specific and metallic embedded, just nestled in the roots of this tree. And as you bend down to it, you find, literally almost fused with the wood of this tree, is something that looks like a small metallic skull. Slender in form, no real like necessarily like no real humanoid features, just the mimicries of one in a human skull, much like it's very evocative of some of the constructs you've fought. But the bigger deal about this one is in this thing's skull-like eye sockets are 2 pinprick beads of green light. And with that nat 20, as you see, sort of look at this one, and pick your head up and look around. If you focus your eyes, somewhere amidst every tree in the nearby area, you can spot more of these green light pinpricks. As you step away from this one, you watch these pinpricks of green light track you. And that's where I'll take our break. Take a 15. Let's come back here in 15 minutes or roundabouts. 8:20. Easy. See you shortly. Get a snack, get a drink. I'm going to go sneeze my brains out. And we'll be back shortly.
I'll join you.
Brilliant.
All right. Be right back.
If you have any questions, ask away.
Please.
So first, my first question is,
All right.
Jenny, I've got your number.
I've got your
I've got to
number
make you mine.
now.
Jenny, don't change your number.
We are live.
Hey, great, perfect. Just out there. Hope everyone's snacked up, stocked up, rehydrated, ready to rock. Because, excuse me, I'm dying. We are back in a dense part of the woods that verge upon the Calatine state. Having followed Earth, Wind, and Fire here, tracking these scorch marks in the ground deep into the woods, into the underbrush, where they found a pocket of grass that resounds with a hollow metallic sound. It doesn't feel right, and Angelo has just spotted a strange, almost metallic construct skull at the base of one of the trees with green sort of eye lights that track him, and spotting these eye lights embedded in a number of the surrounding trees. So, Angelo, what are you doing, having just seen this?
Well, first I'm gonna let these two know. Ignis, Terra, come look at this. These skulls are weird-looking skulls are watching us, tracking our movement. You see the green lights coming from their eyes. And then I think I want to try and see if I can move one of them.
Okay.
Like
Just the
pick it
same
up.
one you were looking at before?
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah, you, first of all, having let the other pair know, Ignis and Terra, you can see them now. If you sort of squint, it takes a little squinting to notice them, but it's like embedded in the bark or up in the canopy or down in the roots in some cases. It's all in the trees and just sort of around the nearby area. These sort of, all these pairs of little green lights inset into otherwise fairly identical, or at least very similar looking, metallic faux skulls. Angelo, this one that you try and move and pick up, it seems to be stuck in around the edges of the skull. You can see like either welding or some kind of merging between the bark of the tree and the metal of the skull itself. But as you touch it, you feel like it's vibrating a little bit. There's a hum or a whir inside it that you can feel palpably when you touch it. Doesn't seem to respond to your touch, at least visibly.
I have an idea that's a little out of the box.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to talk to the plant.
Okay.
Using my once a day for primeval awareness, I'm going to cast
Speak of plants.
Speak with Plants, yeah. So in a 30-foot radius around me, all of the plants can talk to me.
So let me just pull up the spell exactly for 1 second.
I can read it to you if you'd like.
I've got it here. We're okay. Yeah. Okay. So you let this aura sort of weave out from around you and intermingle with the plants. But I say that as the spell wends its way through, in a 30-foot radius from where you're standing. 30-foot radius. Yeah. You don't feel any plant life.
I don't like that.
It doesn't latch on to, there's nothing the spell can grant limited sentience to. It just sort of like wisps out and away.
It's a question. Is this all artificial seeming?
You don't know that?
Is there a way I can find out?
I mean, you can try like any number of things. To the grass, to the trees, to the dirt. Anything that you would usually do to or with plants.
Okay, well, I will try this then. I'm gonna cast mold earth and try to get under the dirt.
Yeah, okay. Just like in that little cube, sort of at your feet, basically.
Yeah.
You touch the ground, and you're able to sort of pull away some of the soil, but it's a really thin layer. And as you move it and congeal it into the sort of the palms of your hands where you would shape it, it just unveils a pocket of ground. And that thin layer of soil is covering a bare, smooth, matte silver surface with a bunch of little insert pockmarks that look like hair follicles into which these grass sprouts are sticking out of. And the small patch of silver surface that you reveal maybe has a couple ridge lines or hinge marks or joint demarcations, but you've only revealed a small plot of it.
I want to try and, I mean, by hand this time. I don't need to use a spell. If it's just dirt, just try and like move more of it away in that area.
Yeah, the more you scrape away, the more it uncovers this silvery, non-reflective surface that's underneath everything. Doesn't seem to be marked in any kind of way from what you're unveiling, other than the presence of these little implanted shoots. It's just this inorganic surface where the ground should be.
Do you think someone's watching through the skull?
It feels like it.
I turn to a skull. Whichever one's nearest me.
Yeah, just one like embedded in a tree trunk.
Hello. Open up. I can't say that we mean you no harm, but we'll be a lot less upset if we have to dick around for a couple hours in the woods to try to find the entrance instead of you just helping us out. So maybe we'll be more forgiving if you let us in and tell us what's up.
It doesn't seem to be any
Over and out.
response. It just seems to continue to watch you. If that's even what it's doing. There is no noticeable change.
Angelo, do you have anything that could break this metal thing? I don't have any magics that could help.
Give me a moment to flip through my book.
I can do something, but I don't know if it's a great idea.
Any idea is a great idea.
I can pass through it. If it's like a small enough surface, but I don't know what'll be on the other side and how far of a drop that might be.
Yeah.
Is this something we're opposed to? I also don't, if I get down there and there's you see my dilemma.
Yeah.
I'll do it. And maybe I can figure out how to open a door once I'm there.
I mean, it's not bad if Angelo doesn't have a spell. I think we go with that.
I feel like there is a spell somewhere in this book that can put a door somewhere. But give me a second, because I can't find it.
Ignis is not patient.
I mean, Ah, yes, here it is. But it's got to be a wood, plaster, or stone surface. So, I have nothing.
I have nothing. You get nothing.
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Other than us beating this with our swords.
I could disintegrate some of this.
Go for it.
Okay. I'll do it.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a couple steps back with my horse.
10 feet. Oh, wait.
I'm gonna go tie Precious to a tree that's not where the grass is fake.
Yeah, I suggest you guys stand back.
Okay. So is that what we're trying first?
Yeah.
You're just like stancing up in the middle of the fake field and just going for it?
Yes, sir. I will.
Okay.
I will. No, actually, yeah.
So describe to me, A, what you're aiming at, and B, how you manifest your disintegrate spell.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm aiming at, I'd say maybe about 5 feet in front of me.
Okay.
And then the disintegration manifestation. It's a finger gun. Yeah. He's going for it. And just like shooting the disintegration ray through his finger.
Like Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yu Yu Hakusho,
Yeah,
exactly.
There we
Gun.
go.
Yeah, just like taking aim, that sort of mote of magical energy, charging, almost setting your finger ablaze with energy before that ray fires out, seeking straight towards your target, which I imagine is a plot of that exposed metal, right? It smacks into the object, and initially there's some kind of a resistance, clearly from some sort of a magical field, but that magical field fries away into crackling fragments of energy as the beam makes contact with the metal surface itself, which fractures and almost shatters. Like if we watched Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, you know when a monster's destroyed and they break into triangles?
Yes.
It's like that. Right, the magic first seeps into the metal, which causes it to sort of irradiate with this almost vein network of magical energy before it fragments into these shards before completely disintegrating, as you basically vaporize a 10-foot portion of this sizable surface. This irregular irregular cubic plot that you've blasted in the earth here, disintegrating some of the fake grass and the soil as well, has opened up into a dark pit of some kind. With some of the twilight, last shreds of light peering through the canopy here, you can see there's about a 15-foot drop to some sort of a cylindrical surface underground. It looks to be made of some similar kind of metallic material as the exterior was as well.
Onward.
Downward. I go first, but I pop a. Unless somebody can. Angelo, can you light up the room?
I can.
I can't see shit.
Blind as shit.
I just pick up.
You've still got your sunglasses on.
Pick it, right? Is there like a piece of the blown apart ground nearby? Like a fragment or anything?
Yeah, I'm sure. Like a sort of chunk of the earth.
Yeah.
You blew away.
I just want to take that. I'll cast the light cantrip on it.
Glowing loam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shining dirt.
I take it and I hold it.
It's literally a clod of earth. It's glowing like a lamp.
A bit of earth.
Was that a secret
And
reference?
yes, it was.
Choice.
I
obscure.
jumped down.
Yeah. You jump down with this glowing loam, and again with your monk fall nonsense, you just sort of like drift down and land. And as you land in the tunnel, there's a sort of a little whine before a sort of there's a flicker, and then a bunch of these glowstones about 10 feet apart from each other down this tunnel, as it appears, begin to flicker on with a dim green glow as these glowstones are all encaged in some kind of little metal lattice. On either side of this cylindrical, almost off-white metallic tunnel that peers down the way, very dimly and flickeringly lit by these glowstones. It is fairly barren, stale smelling. Behind you there is just about a foot or two behind you there is a ladder on a flat wall made of the same substance that leads up to the top part of this tunnel, where here by the ladder there is a flattened ceiling as opposed to a cylindrical ceiling where the rest of the tunnel goes, and at the base of the ladder is a large lever. The only other thing of note, down the tunnel, pacing towards you, are singed track prints on the metal. Almost like ashen remains of these very similar footprints.
Everything's fine. Come down.
Terra looks at Angelo, because Terra has no ability to fly or fall gracefully.
I got you. No, I got her. I'm letting the wings out, scooping up Terra, and we're flying down.
We're flying down 15 feet.
Yeah, absolutely. We're dramatic here, of course.
Angelo is nothing if not dramatic.
Exactly. A showman.
From the column of fading twilight, the angel descends, right? It's like a panel from a Christian movie.
Yeah.
Right? So in needless dramatic fashion, you descend, the pair of you, before landing gracefully at the bottom of this dimly lit metal tunnel. I will say, as you dip below the surface of the ground, the last thing the pair of you notice is the eye lights in the trees flicker off as you land. So now the three of you are in this constructed passageway. It veers down straight ahead of you and then lilts slightly downwards.
Move carefully.
I'm gonna cast mage armor on myself and then invisibility.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, okay. You just shield up. How does the mage armor manifest for you? That sort of like cosmic shroud?
Yeah, it's like it almost looks like Ishtava's shroud.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like it's a little translucent, and it kind of like floats in this like imaginary like watery wind kind of thing around me. Yeah.
Sort of flickering, though it is the initial cape, it almost wends around you in bits and pieces as it moves. Love it. And then almost as if you're using that mage armored cape to cloak yourself as you fade into invisibility. Mage armor isn't concentration, right? You can just pop it and it lasts for an hour.
Yep.
That's why it's good. Yeah. Okay. What's our marching order here?
I'm gonna go after Ignis at least.
I can leave. I can see in the dark.
It's not that dark.
I mean,
though.
it's not that dark, but just in case it does get darker, or.
Sure.
Okay.
I put Terra in between us because I'd rather be the bookend.
Sure. In case anything comes up from the rear. It's always a tragedy to be taken from behind.
Unless it's consensual.
Yeah, I mean.
At which point, double win for everyone.
Yeah.
So, the three of you progress down this tunnel. It's very, very quiet, other than the sort of dim, like dying light bulb whir from these glowstones, and the clank of your footsteps on the metal surface. About 100 feet of tunnel, moving forward and then gradually sloping downwards on a gentle decline as the lights gets sort of gradually dimmer and dimmer until the tunnel sort of branches out into a three-way fork. You get the sense that you're fairly deep below ground now by the time you get here. That droning whir of the lights almost being eaten by the depth. These three passageways are all slightly distinct from one another. The passageway that leads and veers off to the left, the metal looks a little rusted. It's not quite like fully rusted yet, but there's just a little bit of disuse and unkempt nature to that metal to the left. To the right, instead of going as the left one goes and then does another turn again, this one just goes straight to the right. And it seems to get a bit darker down that way. And straight ahead of you, it veers clearly slightly further down again, but there is a brighter green light coming from that way. And I will say that the footprints track from the center pathway.
That was my question.
You don't even need to roll perception for that. I mean, they're pretty obvious.
I think we should go down the center pathway.
All right, gang, let's split up and search for clues. Okay.
We go down the center pathway.
Like
Okay.
joints, man. I think it came from this way.
Like Scoob, like don't split the party.
Before we go down the center pathway, I'm gonna cast Arcane Eye, and I'm gonna send it down another path.
You're gonna send it down, just like the mote of light down center path.
The eye.
Oh. What's the actual name of that spell / ability?
Arcane Eye.
I always forget the specifications of this kind of wizardy nonsense. Okay. Got it. Okay. So, how does your... Oh, no, it's invisible. Never mind. You conjure up this mote of magic and cast it ahead of you, almost warging into it. As it peters down this corridor and further sort of literally down into the earth, I assume you're going to push it until you can glean where this thing leads.
Yeah.
The eye can see, as it goes, it can see this corridor opens into an arched doorway into what is clearly some sort of circular lab. There is a green glowing cylinder in the center and a bunch of plates, it seems, on the ground, some consoles here and there. But as the eye passes through the gateway, there's a brief flickering of vision, and then you snap back into your head. And you can feel that magic has been fractured and dispelled.
Okay. So, I'd say to Ignis and Terra, there's seemingly a lab at the end of this passageway, but once my magic reached, it was dissipated. So it has some kind of anti-magic situation there as well.
Let's go down the centered hallway.
Let's do it.
Okay. You guys go down the center pathway, following the same path that the eye took, just this fairly short decline towards this room where this green light is coming from. You can see down the end of the corridor that arched doorway.
I thought he had sent it down a different one.
Oh, sorry. I misunderstood.
It was okay.
I misunderstood. I totally misheard you there. Which path? Well, I've given you that information. Which pathway did you say you sent it down?
Well, I was just gonna say one of the other ones. I was gonna say the one to the right, but
the one, yeah. Sorry,
it was fine. I was like, it's fine if we can.
No. Since I screwed up there, why don't we say it did a little reconnaissance on at least the right, if not the right, left, and center, right? I feel like if you have the ability. So the right corridor is long, considerably long.
Considerably
long. Just sort of like a winding passageway until it ends up in a at the sort of door, an actual like steel door with a handle and everything that has a grated window in the top of it. As the eye peers, I imagine, through the window, it opens up into this like fairly tall, wide, white room with some kind of like white glowstone in the top of it, covered in padding that is in considerable disrepair and states of damage.
Ew.
Cool.
Otherwise, there doesn't seem to be anything actively in the room.
And the left?
Down the left?
Mm-hmm.
The left peers off, then sort of goes down that another straight-laced hallway, but it's a fairly steep decline. Almost like it's a set of stairs, fairly shallow steps that lead down, until it ends up in this very, or in fact, the only reason that I can see in it at all is because it has dark vision. It's this rectangular chamber, almost reminiscent of a tomb of sorts, save for the fact that instead of there being like one sarcophagus or an altar or something in there, there is a pedestal in the center, some kind of dull or unlit crystal in the center of the pedestal, like linked with some tubes and some wires that tether back into the pedestal itself. And lining the room are very, very bleak, austere metal rectangular sarcophagi, open. Standing in each of them is a construct. It's a very familiar looking construct, though different, slightly different. They look very, very similar in at least nature to the way Vindictus was constructed. This like almost augmented, accentuated skeletal structure, but where Vindictus was like sharp and refined and angular and tall, these are fairly narrow and simplified. But again, it's these like metallic faux skeletons, just at least, as far as the eye can scan, 15 of them. 15 individual sarcophagi filled.
I'm assuming Angelo tells us all of this.
Absolutely. I think I tell you as I see it, like relaying what I see.
And then we can assume that you send it down the middle one and you see the same things and it passes through that veil which dissipates the eye.
Yeah.
Let's go down the center hall.
The laugh will do it to you.
Yeah.
The laugh will get you.
Yeah. Okay. So, picking up where we left off before my egregious blunder.
Get his
That was cute. That was cute. I already finished. So, like narrow, or not narrow, this sort of slim descent down towards this hallway with the archway here, revealing that circular lab. With that tall green cylinder in the center of the room, emanating some kind of light. You can't see too much from outside the archway. Are we heading in?
Yeah, I'll walk through first.
Okay. You walk through. I imagine all three of you walk through in fairly short order. As you pass into the room, you can feel almost like a barometric. Yeah, that's the right word. Barometric, like, change in pressure briefly. As you pass, you almost feel like you're hitting something physical, like a wall of humidity before you step actually into the lab, and that humidity passes away to a very cool, almost vacuum-like space. The air is very thin in this lab. It's actually quite hard to breathe. And as you all step in, some of the consoles sort of flicker and glow to life around the room.
Really quickly, sorry.
Please.
Hannah, Kyle, and Will, all three of you have inspiration from the chat.
Oh, okay. Let me see. I can see Ignis. You got inspiration on intimidation? Question mark. NYC 42069. I'll take that inspiration. That sickness inspiration. I will take that and bank it. And where's Hannah's? I can't see it.
It's farther
It
up.
was way earlier.
Oh,
there was something going on. I didn't want to. I didn't have a chance to interrupt.
Well, the spirit of adventure takes us all, and we can hold on to those inspiration and use them as you will. These consoles. What I mean by that, they are basically around the circumference, the inside circumference of the room, are just various slanted tables that sort of come out of the wall, and they're filled with, I don't want to call them buttons exactly. It's like a runic dashboard. It's hard to tell what they're used for, because again, it all looks fairly encoded, as any of the stuff that you've been dealing with the Futurists have been for the most part. And they're all different. I think in total there are 5 separate consoles around the circumference of the room, with one main one right in the front, separate from all the rest, in front of this glowing, shifting green cylinder with 4 disc-like plates on the ground in front of it. So you've got the center console, the plates, the cylinder, and the 5 surrounding consoles.
In any of the places that we've been, especially this one, is there a general sense of lived in or abandoned?
In any of, are you asking specifically about this one, or in general, any of them?
I mean, I guess specifically here, because this is what I'm thinking about the most. But even if I'm thinking like back,
this is like a nice median between the two. It feels both unattended, but also used. These ashen footprints are clearly fresh from the past day or so, because they're still here.
And they lead
to the second of the 4 plates, if you're looking from left to right.
And then stop.
And then they don't exist. Yeah. Angelo, as you are standing in this room, your implanted hive is like actively prickling at the base of your neck. You can feel it almost resonating.
I'll focus in on it and then see where the connection is coming from.
Sure. As you sort of allow that sort of telekinetic energy to sort of seep from that implant throughout your body, before it would actually reach your fingertips and allow you to move things. You just allow that resonance to sort of embrace throughout you, and it changes your perception of the runes. And almost again, as I've described to you before, it's like that the tracing pathway thing. You can see the pathways of the runes on these tables, in that these consoles are not to be pressed, but the runes themselves are to be shifted. Almost like those puzzles that are made up of a bunch of little squares that you have to move around to create the image that's been muddled up. Mm-hmm. That's what they're for. And in visualizing these pathways through that telekinetic focus, you can tell at least the central console is the one that makes the most sense. And it seems to vaguely translate to accessing each of these plates. And the way the runes at least emotively translate in your head, apparently these relate to something called brazier chambers. And that's as much as, at least on the outset, the hive focus can glean for you here.
I relay this to Ignis and Terra. And I want to investigate the center console further.
Okay. Just like basically in terms of its mechanic function, its magical workings. What are you specifically looking for?
How to do the puzzle. Basic, like how to make it work.
I will have you roll me, I think, an intelligence check.
Okay. Good. We like those.
Good.
Nice. That is... Sorry, 21.
21?
Yeah.
Yeah. While Angelo's investigating, Terra and Ignis, what are you up to?
I am just waiting patiently.
Okay.
I feel like we've been around this shit before, and I'm not going to mess with anything until we know for sure what's going to happen.
Okay. Ignis?
Yeah. I think I'm definitely like ready to defend anything that jumps out at us,
Yeah.
Like if we start triggering something, or if somebody I'm just trying to be vigilant.
Sure. I mean, you can roll me a perception check if you like.
Sure.
I feel like Angelo is the brains a lot of the time, because he's a nerd.
As far as your 21 investigation check or intelligence check has come through, you can tell, again, just using that interface, you would be able to essentially shift the runes around so that the excess runes are on the outside of the console and the right sequence or equation of runes is in the center to try and access brazier chamber 1 through 4 or A through D. And in theory, this would allow one of the 4 plates here excuse me, to be activated, be turned on, do something with these plates.
25 for perception.
Say that again?
25 for perception.
If you're being vigilant, somewhere out back through the door you've come from, you can hear like an echoing, distant clanking. Fairly irregular. but definitely continuing and definitely new. What are we doing?
I'm gonna do the puzzle. I'm gonna move the runes around. Do I use the telekinesis through the thing, or?
Correct.
Okay, alright, dope.
Correct, because if you've been studying it and you've been touching the runes themselves, it doesn't even respond to physical contact.
Yeah.
They don't budge, they don't turn on or activate. But as soon as you allow that telekinesis to manifest, again, prickling, allowing that almost microchip-like lattice work of lines, magical lines, wend through your arm, the runes that you're targeting begin to glow subtly with sort of matrix-like light and energy as you shift them around. Which brazier chamber are you trying to activate?
You said 1 through 4?
Yep.
I ask Ignis and Terra, pick a number 1 through 4.
3.
Sure.
All right, so number 3.
Number 3, you sort of filter the runes out, sort of trace them in place, putting the excess to the sides until this sequence is created that glows, and the main cylinder sort of flashes and pulses a couple times, almost like an irregular heartbeat, before that energy swells, then peters down the cylinder, filters across the floor, lighting up some of the breaks in the tile, and wrapping its way around the third plate on the ground, which reads the circumference of it in sort of slow trickling green flame as the plate glows this bright green light. The clanking, Ignis, picks up.
I look at Terra and I say, I'm gonna go check that out. I'll be right back. I won't go too far. And
Give a thumbs up, and then I realize I'm invisible, and so it doesn't matter.
I am also going to cast invisibility on myself, and then sneakily walk down and try to find the sound, the mysterious ticking noise.
Oh God, help us. Okay, so you head out, and you're heading up that main pathway. Angelo, are you still tweaking it around, or are you keeping the third one on?
I'll keep the third one on.
Okay, just holding it there, sort of waiting for a sign from Ignis, basically.
Yeah.
Terra, you're doing the same?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ignis, you head up and out the main pathway to the place the roads diverge, the passageways diverge, and you can hear that the clanking is coming from somewhere down the left passageway.
I go that way.
Okay. Head down that way and down the descending steep stairs. It's a fairly precarious descent. They're steep and shallow stairs, so as I said, so it's not the easiest descent. When you head down there, it is pitch black. The stairwell, at the very least. Though where the arcane eye didn't discern this for Angelo before, now, as the clanking picks up, you can start to see some flickerings of green light at the base of the stairwell. And this clanking is getting fairly decisive and loud. This clink, 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 clink. And once you get to the base of the stairwell, to this wide sort of square opening that leads into this tomb-shaped room, the crystal in the pedestal in the center of the room is pulsing now. And this light trickles down like liquid through the pedestal and splinters off into 15 little trails, veering throughout the room, 5 to each side of the room that doesn't hold the opening. And as the line hits each of these sarcophagi, they too take and subsume this light, which feeds its way into each receptacle, each construct in each sarcophagi. And now as you're standing there watching, invisible, in the doorway, You can see the clanking is the sound of clank, one part of each construct being filled with energy and detaching from the tube work that holds it to the sarcophagi. 2 on each flanking side have already fully energized and exited their sarcophagi. They seem to be looking and turned their attention towards the rest of the caskets here, and seem to be waiting for all of them to be open or to be undone. What do you do?
Fuck me. I'm going to try and go destroy the gem in the middle. In fact, I'll let my my longsword fly over it. No, fuck. No, I run over, and then right as I get up to it, I'm gonna just swing the shit out of it and hope that I can break it.
Okay. Can you roll me? This is not greater invisibility, right? It's just invisibility.
Correct.
Okay. Roll me a stealth check.
Right. But I have advantage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I sure hope you do.
Road work ahead.
Great. I sure
Great.
hope you do.
Okay. 26.
Yeah. It's the Bugs Bunny tiptoe. Like, you just skitter across the room, and you're just taking a swing with the Lux Blade?
Yeah, I'm gonna swang.
Okay, roll me an attack.
And I'm also... I will also start, like... I'll do, like, a battle cry. I'll start yelling so that they can hear me.
Hiya! Just full like Link swinging at parts. Okay. The up one.
Yeah.
Okay, roll me an attack.
That's a 27 to hit.
Yeah, that's gonna hit. Roll me damage.
I haven't even taken on a goddamn damage die. What am I doing? That's pretty good. 15 points of damage.
Yeah, Link, you just smack into the crystal, breaking a couple of the tubes that connect to it, the little wiring that tethers it to the pedestal, off the way, chipping it, not quite fully breaking it yet, but the energy that's tethering to it and from it to the other sarcophagi flickers for a moment. As you swing and yell, the invisibility dispels, and the 4 already fully woken constructs look straight towards you. In the chamber, the central pillar, that sort of central column with the flickering energy, sort of swirls and flickers like liquid until a slender, skeletal face appears in the, almost like as mist and liquid in the thing, like a projection, and it is a face seared into your memory, laced with distaste, disgust, and hatred, as the visage of Vindictus appears in the mist and utters, "You should not be here yet."
I'm still swinging.
This is in the lab.
I got two attacks.
Okay. For the last moment of this session, we are gonna finish those two, that final part of the attack action here. Swing away. You've done 15 points of damage.
That's a 26 to hit.
That's going to hit. As the 4 constructs step one bit closer.
Rolled good. 16 points of damage.
16. Another piece chips right off of it. The things flicker again. 2 more constructs are almost fully formed. Swing again.
I mean, I get to swing again?
You said you have oh, do you have 2 or 3 attacks a turn?
I have 2. I can use my bonus action.
I'll allow it if you want to.
Unarmed strike.
Swing, elbow drop.
Punch.
Go for it.
Oh, punch. That's not as high, but still pretty good. 18.
18, that's gonna hit.
Okay. Good. That's good. Why do I always do this?
Yeah, that's the question you can only answer.
8 points of damage.
8 points of damage. Okay.
How's it look?
You chip it again. It's looking fractured and cracked. The energy is now no longer staying as steady streams. It's perpetually flickering and crackling. It is not looking well.
Spend a key point. Flurry of blows. 1 more hit.
Okay. You've got a 5th construct fully stepping out of its thing. The other 2 probably only 15 feet away from you now. Make another swing.
Not as good. 15.
15?
You have inspiration, don't forget. Oh, I guess.
Right. Yes.
15. Are you using inspiration?
17.
That's gonna hit. Roll for damage.
Inspo. That's another 8 points of damage.
8 points. Let me just make sure I'm doing the math right. Yeah, you're just good. 45 hit points. You slash, punch, and it just, the top third of the crystal shatters away, and the energy bleeds off. So the other, 10 constructs that are sort of half or a third out in the sarcophagi, but the 5 of them that are awake and active are making their way steadily towards you. And with the visage of Vindictus in this column here, leering over you, we'll pick right up there next week. Somebody split the party. Again.
And there's 3 of us.
I'm
okay. I'm all right. I have my ways of getting out.
You're just down the hall.
Yeah, not too far at all. So we will come back right here, battle map ready. If not for the sake of combat, at least for the sake of spacing and tunnels. Next week, same time as always, and we'll have some fun. Some robo stomping, one way or another. Good stuff. I love a session. Sorry, I'm making this one a little short. I'm just dying a little bit, and I am losing my thread on reality. So, excellent. Good stuff. Again, if you haven't, those of you who are listening, we had a lovely, sizable audience full of old friends and new in the chat today. Good to see some of you guys. Jump on our Discord if you haven't. Find us on Instagram. We're always posting fun clips on there as well. And enjoy the rest of your week. Don't stress yourself too hard. Find moments of enjoyment. Tell somebody you love them. And follow us along here, as I'm sure we're about to raid someone.
Yeah,
and
someone's chat. Thank you for the bits and the follows and the subscribes, everyone. Thank you so much. We are going to be raiding -2 charisma.
-2 charisma. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Love you all. See you next
Perfect.
week.
See you next
See
week.
See you on
next
Sunday
week.
over at Legends of Alos.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Be there or be square.
Absolutely. All right.
See you guys
Love
later.
y'all. Peace.
Peace.